You approved your sample. Let that sink in for a minute because that is a big deal. That means you did the work, you went through the process, you approved it. Everything is what you want it to be. It looks the way you want it to look. It is the vision that you had in mind. This is it. This right here is the one. But here's the thing, approving your sample is not production. It's actually the starting gun to what's about to happen. It's actually the starting gun for a whole new phase. Now we're talking production, baby. Production means money, timelines, sourcing, logistics, and making sure every detail is locked in before anything moves forward. In this video, I'm walking you through everything that happens at this stage. From getting your production quote, sourcing your materials and your hardware, to understand what your product actually is going to cost you to make, to getting it all in writing. This is the behind the scenes, what a lot of people don't talk about and tell you. This is how I'm going to prepare you for this stage in your process. Talking you through it all. Let's go. But before we go anywhere, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let's get into it. Okay, you have approved your sample. You're ready to move forward in the production process. What does that mean? That means that everything that your bag, your product already is exactly the way that you like it, and you are ready to move forward. So you want to confirm with the manufacturer that everything right now is locked in. This is what you want. You want to make sure that all of this is in writing, okay? Because if anything goes awry, you want to be able to have something to come back to if it doesn't come out the way that you want it to. Everything must be in writing. You want everything documented. The materials, the measurements, the hardware, everything that you are using and everything that has went into your sample that you are ready to take forward. These items are what you want to have documented on your full spec sheet. Okay, so now that you've approved the sample, now it's time to get into the nitty-gritty. This is where everything comes out to numbers. Now, depending on the quantity and the amount that you want and what your money is looking like, you don't want to go to your manufacturer and just say, hey, give me the quote on the production of the minimum quantity that you allow. Or if you have your mind locked in on, I want to start with 100 bags, asking your manufacturer just for the price of those 100. The reason why I tell you this is because that there is a vast difference in the more products that you have made, the cost actually changes and adjusts. So you may start off thinking, oh, I want 30, but then you might realize that, oh, it might not be a bad idea to get 50 made because it actually will work. The prices, the more you get, the prices go down. So when you compare those numbers, and if it's in your budget, you might see that the number that you might be fixated on could actually work out better for you and your bottom line. So you want to clarify what all is in the quote for moving forward to production. My production consists of 3 different quotes: cutting dies, production, and heat stamp. Heat stamp is what they are using and creating to put my Tonē Bekka name on the inside of the bag. The production is your labor cost for all the bags that you're going to have made. So it's the individual. For example, so if your production is going to be 30 bags and they only cost 100 each, then that lets you know that your production for labor is going to be $3,000. And then the other part is the cutting dies. The cutting dies is the individual pattern pieces of the product that you are getting. So every piece that goes into every pattern piece is going to be created into a cutting die. And then they're going to make those molds of the cutting die, which usually those are yours to keep forever. Okay. You always have to make sure that you have that conversation. If you were to leave this manufacturer and go to another one, can you take your cutting dies with you? Or do you have to start all over from scratch with a whole nother manufacturer? Okay. But all of those numbers are what goes into my entire production costs. The only thing is, and the best thing is when you first start off with your manufacturing, your cutting dies and your heat stamp is going to be a one-time cost, okay? That means moving forward, if you get that bag or that product made again, you're not going to have to pay for heat stamp again. You're not going to have to pay for the cutting dies again. You will then later on, you will only pay for the production, the labor of that bag, because you've already paid for those things up front. This is why initially it feels like it's very expensive. Initially it feels like you're paying out a lot, but once you re-up and go back and get that product made in other colors, other materials, or whatever that you want to do. This is why you will see like the Chanel flap. It's the same bag over and over and over again, but they might change. It might be tweed one year. It might be velvet one year. It might be ostrich another year, but they don't have to pay again for the cutting dies or the heat stamps ever again with that particular manufacturer. So next time you go to have that product made, all you're paying for is labor. And if labor is, let's say, $3,000, then you're like, bet, it'll be easy to go for it and re-up on this same product and make more. Actually, you will have to pay for your materials and hardware again, but you get what I'm saying. The cutting dies and the heat stamp, you won't have to pay for again. Now, you also want to clarify what is included in the production cost. Are they covering trims? Are they covering materials? Are they covering hardware? Has all that been included in it? And if it has not, if you've discussed and agreed on you getting your materials, you getting your hardware, that's a whole nother cost that now you have to figure all of this stuff out and do that to prepare for production. Because if you don't have your materials and your hardware and all of that stuff in place, then production is not going to start. And make sure you get the quote in writing. You want to see what you are paying for and what it looks like. And also, this is good for you to be able to break your numbers down, for you to be able to look at, okay, it's going to cost this much for hardware, it's going to cost this much for materials, it's going to cost this much for labor. And that will be a good guide for you to be able to figure out how much each bag costs, because you take all of those numbers, put them together, and divide them by the number of bags or the number of products. I'm keep saying bags because that's what we talk about, bags, right? But all of this applies to whatever you're getting manufactured. But you want to apply those and divide it by whatever quantity you have decided upon with you and your manufacturer. Now let's talk about this fabric and materials. Now you're getting into sourcing. You have your MOQ, you have your yardage calculation, and you want to put a waste buffer in, minimum 10%, because there's always going to be something that you have to account for. So it's better to have more than not enough. My mom would always tell me that when it comes to cooking, but I feel like that should be applied across the board in every aspect of life. It's better to have more than not enough. You never want to be caught with your pants down. You never want to have to go back and get more of something, because then it delays the process in production and moving forward. As you're figuring out your materials and getting all of those things together and everything that you want to collect, your materials, your hardware, you want to figure out, are you going to have those sourcers shipped directly to the manufacturer, or do you want it to have to come to you first? Now, I want you to be economic about this. You want to think about shipping. Do you need them to ship it to you and then you ship it to the manufacturer? Now, if you're in the same city as your manufacturer, or if you really have to put eyes on the materials, then yes, I would say have it come to you. When I ordered my the bars that are going to go, the nameplates that are going to go on the back of my bags, even though I had the sample, the second time around when I ordered all the ones I needed to go into production, I had them come to me because I wanted to lay eyes on it. I wanted to make sure it looked like it was supposed to. I wanted to make sure it was the same that I had ordered before. But I was able to put it in the box with the sample bag, so I didn't really have to pay for additional shipping because I shipped it with other things that were already going to the manufacturer. Now, if you're like me, I have a couple of sources as far as where I get my leather. I have a local one, I have one in California, and a couple of other places. So because I have other ones, a lot of times what I will do is I will have them send me a sample, especially if I'm looking for new materials. I know what I want, but it's not really, I need other colors. I want to make sure the color is exactly on point of what I want, and you can't really always tell through a computer screen or through your phone. So what I'll have them do is I will have them send me the sample, because they don't charge to send you samples. I'll have them send me the sample so I can feel the weight of the leather, so I can look at the quality of the leather, so I can see the color, and if the color is right, exactly what I need it to be. And then what I will do is when I'm ordering the leather, I have them ship the leather straight to the manufacturer. It doesn't need to come to me because I'm not doubling up on the shipping costs. I don't want to pay for them to ship it to me and then I pay to ship it to the manufacturer. That's a necessary cost to me. You want to make sure that you're giving yourself a good amount of lead times. The minute you have approved your sample, I suggest you start gathering your hardware, your materials, your trims, all of the things. Because when it's time for you to go into production, you want the manufacturer to have everything that they need. Sometimes the manufacturer will say, oh, okay, well, once you pay, we're going to get you in line, and maybe they have 3 or 4 or 5 other projects ahead of you. But you don't necessarily know how long or short those projects are going to take to get done. So once they are completed, you want them to have everything that they need for you to get in line and you to go right into production. So with that being said, if you have hardware that you maybe have customized, maybe you customize your zipper pulls, maybe you have custom logo bar or something like that, you want to give time for you to get whoever is doing your hardware, for them to create it, customize it, and ship to you, especially if it's coming from overseas, and then get it to the manufacturer. So you want to order these things sooner than later. Do not wait. Now, I am handling all of my sourcing because it's cheaper than having the manufacturer do it right now. And because of that, I'm getting my leather from here. I'm getting my lining from here. I'm getting my hardware from here. I'm getting my logo bars from here. Things are coming from different places. So you have to make sure that you are aware of what is coming from where. You want to be able to make sure you know when it's supposed to be shipped. You want to make sure everything is going to the manufacturer. You want to pay attention to the cost of it all and keep track of that, because all of this, you have to make sure your numbers are on point. If your numbers do not align, you will not make money. So you want to be able to keep everything together of what it's costing and how much it's going to cost you. So then moving forward, you know that once it comes time to pricing your product is going to be priced correctly. Also, you want to be able to go back to these people. If it's a product that you're going to make over and over and over again, and you're satisfied with your logo bar, you're satisfied with the zipper quality and style of the zipper, you want to be able to go back to those people and get them again. And also make sure that you are getting everything wholesale. Don't fool with these companies where you're paying full price or retail price. Make sure you are getting your stuff wholesale, okay? Don't forget that. Okay, I know I keep talking about the money and cost and everything like that, but you got to realize true cost equals production costs plus materials plus hardware plus shipping. Shipping to the manufacturer and the shipping freight back to you once your production is done, because the manufacturer doesn't pay for anything. You pay for it all. You're going to pay for them to ship you your products from them to you. I'm going to divide all of those numbers per unit. So if everything totals out to be $10,000 and you have 100 units, 100 pieces of products that you're doing, then how much is it all supposed to cost? You tell me. That number obviously would be 100. And that number drives your retail price and your margin. You want to make sure that you include margins in there as well. And I talk about that in a previous video on making sure you're pricing things correctly. You want to also put in, if you're ever going to have to put your product on sale, that you will still make a profit even if you have to mark it down 20-30%. Okay, you want to keep all of these things in mind. So you want to give yourself that room and that buffer so that no matter what, you are making a profit. Because if it's wrong, everything goes downstream. So once you've gathered your materials, once you've sent everything to the manufacturer, you want to make sure that you ask them for the timeline. Don't get a vague answer. Don't where they say, oh, about 4 to 6 weeks. You need to get an exact timeline. And even when they give you that exact timeline, know that you have to account for an additional 2 to 3 weeks. Something might go wrong. There might be some time that might hold up your production. Whatever happens, always be a stickler when it comes to thinking that something's going to happen within a time frame when other people are involved. Common delay culprits can be materials, can be hardware, the manufacturer going on holiday, especially if you're dealing with overseas ones, because sometimes they go on holiday for 2 and 3 weeks and sometimes a month. Okay, so you have to consider all of these things, all of these factors that can delay your production being done in a timely manner or in the time frame that you think it will be. Another thing you want to do is set communication communication checkpoints. You don't want to just say, oh, I've given you everything. You said it's going to be done on May 31st. So I don't expect to hear from you. I'm not going to reach out to you till May 31st. Do you decide to say, oh, I'm going to check in once a month. I'm going to check in every couple of weeks. I'm going to check in, I'm going to have a midpoint check time. Whatever the case, you want to be able to communicate that to the manufacturer of when and how often you expect to hear from them and to communicate with them. Also, do you expect progress photos or videos? Do you want to see how things are working out? Do you want to see how the first products are looking once they get complete? Do you want evidence or to see it going through the assembly line, especially if it's an overseas manufacturer and you want to just see it, you want to get a snippet, because you can't always afford to hop on a plane and go there and see everything in real time in the production. Maybe you have communicated with them. Please send me photos. Please send me videos. I want to get some evidence or something to see how production is going along and how it's moving, and see how things are going through the production process. Once again, I will say this until I'm blue in my face. Make sure you get everything in writing. Timeline, cost, especially the cost. Make sure you get it in writing. You want to get your deposit amount, your balance due date. If they expect you to pay half up front and the rest before it ships out, knowing that they gave you this timeline. If they say that it's going to be done in 30 days, you got to have the money in 30 days to pay them so that you can get your products back right away. You want to talk about what happens if something goes wrong. If there's damaged goods, who rectifies it? What happened? If the specs are wrong, do you have it in writing on what the specs are supposed to be so that you can tell them, no, this bag was supposed to be 9 by 8 by 2 and it came to me and it's 9 by 6 by 1. You want to make sure that everything is in writing, so if anything goes wrong, you are able to back it up. Good manufacturers won't push back on documentation. And you don't want to start anything that is serious, that is worth anything, with a handshake. Get it in writing. Okay, I know this is a lot of moving parts, but it's all going to be manageable one step at a time. Just know that you start off approving your sample. Now it's time to let the manufacturer know you're ready to move forward. You get the cost of how much it is going to cost to move forward. You start gathering all your materials, hardwares, trims, and everything. Send them out to your manufacturer so then they have them. Know how long your timeline is going to take for production, and wait for pictures, wait for videos, communicate in between time, and when you get your product, it is on and popping. Sales, 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 sales. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. Ask me anything you want in the comments. If you are in your production process or your manufacturing process, let me know where you are in the process. If you have any questions, what videos or things that you want to hear me talk about next, because now we have to discuss, what do you do in the meantime while you wait for production?